So today's topic is ninth chapter, 27th verse of the Bhagavad Gita, wherein Krishna says, Yat karoshi yad ashnasi, yat juhosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat purusham adarpana. That whatever you do, Krishna is saying, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. So here Krishna is telling us that whatever we do, we should offer it as an offering to Krishna. So that is called Yat Karoshi. It's very important verse because uh, Krishna is saying, "You give everything to me." So is that sounds something unreasonable? Generally, we see that people they go to the temples and beg from God that you give us, and here Krishna is saying, "No, you give me." So what is better? To give to Krishna or to ask, beg from Krishna? That is the question. So, begging food stuff from Krishna. Generally, people go to the temples, to the churches, and say that, "Oh God, give us our daily bread." So that is third class devotion. Although it is good, pious, because he's going to the temple, he's going to the church. No doubt, it's a pious activity, but it is third class because as it is God Krishna, he's already giving you bread to subsist. If he doesn't give, you cannot subsist. So, so going to the temple and asking Krishna, which already he's giving us, is foolishness. So, why Krishna is asking us, Yat Karoshi Yadasnyasi, that whatever you eat, whatever you do, whatever you give away, you give it to me. Why is he saying? Because that way we can establish a loving relationship with Krishna. Because we are suffering here in this material world because we have forgotten our relationship with Krishna. So this human form of life is given to us to re-establish our lost relationship with Krishna. So how do we establish this lost relationship with Krishna? So Krishna is saying this is how you can re-establish that lost relationship, that you establish a loving relationship with Him. And how is love expressed? By giving some gift to your beloved. So Krishna is saying, if you want to love me, I love you. You give me, I'm already giving you food stuff. I've given you all the facilities of life. You are able to breathe because of me. I'm giving you oxygen. I'm giving you water free of charge. I'm giving you sunlight free of charge. And in return, you don't give me. So that is, selfishness. And that is not a very good idea. So Krishna says that in order to establish that living relationship, you should also give me something. Because if you give me, I will give it back to you. So this is a relationship in love. So Krishna is saying that out of love, we what is it? How do we express our love? Dadati pratigrihnati. That we give something, we give some gift to our loved ones, and we take. They in return give us something else. So this is an expression of love. So when we give something to Krishna, then he becomes very much obliged. So Krishna is not, thankless person. He's God. Even if you give him a flower, he will remember you for life. That yes, this person has given me a flower. He has given me some service. Oh, he loves me so much. So I should also reciprocate with him. So this way we can establish our loving relationship. That's why Krishna is saying, Yat Karoshi, whatever you do it for me. And whatever you eat, you first offer it to me. Yat karoshi yadashnasi, yat juhosi dadasiya. Tat purusho madartana. That you give it to me. That whatever we eat, if we don't offer to Krishna, we are effectively eating sin. So how are we eating sin? That is, Krishna is saying that in the Bhagavad Gita, that those who eat for their own sense gratification, for their own self-satisfaction, ye pachanti tu atma karana, te tu agham papam, that they are verily eating sin. that those who eat for themselves, they eat sin. Because foodstuffs also, they become free from sin only when we offer it to Krishna. Like people say, they make an argument when we say that you should not eat, you should not kill animals and you should not eat meat and you should not eat non-vegetarian food. So they say you are also killing plants. So yes, that is true. We are killing plants. Some plants we are killing, some we don't. Some we take as fruits of the plants. Some plants we do kill. So there is violence involved in that. So if you don't offer to Krishna, then it is sin because we are killing those plants. So how to, but still because we have to subsist. So for humans, vegetarian food stuff is enjoined by Krishna that we should eat vegetarian food stuff. And non-vegetarian food stuff is not meant for civilized human beings. So verily, if we don't offer to Krishna, to God, then we are eating sin because we are also killing plants. That's why Krishna says, you purify your food stuff, you offer it to me. So in the third chapter, Krishna says, Yagyarthat karmano anyatra, that you should work for Yagya Purush, that is for Vishnu. Yagyarthat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. Any other work in which if you don't work for Krishna, for Vishnu, then such kind of work binds you. So similarly, going ahead, Krishna says in the subsequent verses of the third chapter that those who eat food stuff for their own self-satisfaction, they are eating sin. And those who are offering food to Krishna, so that is karma-free food, it is free from sins. So that's why Krishna is saying, Yat karoshi yadashnasi, Yat juhosi dadasya, Yat tapasyasi kaunteya, Tat purushva madarpana. So that particular third chapter, 9th verse, it is an important verse, Yagyarthat karmano anyatra, that we have already discussed. And then in the next verse, in the 13th verse of the third chapter, Krishna says, Yagya Shishtashina Santo Muchanti Sarva Kilvishay. So those who are devotees, they eat the remnants of Yagya, that is the sacrifice. So there are fire sacrifices, they are called Yagya. So Yagya Shishtashino Santaha. So so this Yagya means we offer grains into the fire. So that is a form of, so that Agni, that particular fire of that particular fire sacrifice, that is the mouth of Lord Vishnu, and we are giving those grains as offering to Lord Vishnu, and he is consuming them. So that is one way of offering food grains to Krishna through fire sacrifices, and that is generally performed by those who are following the Karmakand, path, the path of Karmakand, that is fruitive path, fruitive activities. So the devotees, they prepare the same food grains instead of offering it as a sacrifice in a fire. They prepare nice food grains using the same ingredients, like we use ghee, milk, and we offer nice food stuff and offer to Krishna. So that is the process of Bhakti Marg. So that is also Yagya Shishta. So that is the remnant of Lord Krishna. So Krishna is more pleased when we offer him very nicely prepared food, and we offer those nice preparations with love and devotion to Krishna, like we offer kheer, puri, nice sabjis, kachoris, samosas. So that way Krishna becomes very pleased. So offering in a fire sacrifice is a comparatively lower process than offering ready-made foodstuffs. We prepare with love and devotion. That is, when we prepare with love and devotion, Krishna becomes more pleased. So that is the way we should offer food to Krishna. And whenever we eat, whatever we eat, we should first offer food for Krishna. So this is called Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness means that always we should remember Krishna. So whenever we prepare food for Krishna, we should not prepare the food for ourselves. We should make our consciousness such that when we are preparing that food stuff, we should think that we are preparing for Krishna. And this enjoyer of this food is Krishna. We will offer this food to Krishna, and we should offer that food to Krishna. And then we should take the remnants, that is called prasad. Just as the servant offers very nice food stuff to his master and then takes the remnants. So that should be our daily routine, that whatever we eat, we should first offer to Krishna. And whatever we do, yat karoshi, that also we should do it for Krishna. So this way we will become sinless, and when we become sinless, we can go back to Godhead. Because as long as we are sinful, we cannot establish our relationship with Krishna, because Krishna is the supreme pure. He's purity personified. So Krishna, we can establish our relationship, we can associate with him only when we become pure. So all these items, so Krishna is saying in this 9th chapter, 27th verse, that how we can become pure. We should do everything for Krishna. We should offer everything to Krishna, and whatever we eat, we should first offer to Krishna, because nobody can say that I don't eat anything. So we say you chant Hare Krishna, they say, oh, I don't have time. I am a busy man. I'm not, idle like you people. You Hare Krishnas have got no work, and you are just idly sitting at home in the temple and busy. You're doing nothing, and we are busy people. So we don't have time. So nobody can deny. Okay, fine. For chanting, they have got so many excuses. But for eating, they cannot deny. No matter how much busy you are, he takes out time to eat. So even if you do this much, that if you are busy the whole day, still you eat. So whatever you eat, you first offer to Krishna, and this way you will progress in devotional service. It's a very small thing, but the result is very great. So we should start this right away. And this is very important part of devotional service. There is an English proverb which says the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. That if you offer him some good food, you can easily impress him, and this is how you can flatter a great personality. Similarly, God becomes very much pleased when you offer him some nice food which is made with devotion, with love and devotion. So Krishna is saying for our benefit that whatever you do, whatever you eat, you give it to me, because that is for your benefit. Krishna is, he's the supreme personality of Godhead. He doesn't need anything. He's being served by Lakshmi Sahasra Shatam Sambrama Sevya Manav. He's being served by millions and millions of Lakshmi. If you have seen the photo of Narayan or Vishnu, he's being served only by one Lakshmi. But Krishna is being served by thousands and millions of Lakshmis. That is the statement of Lord Brahma. This is not our concoction. Lord Brahma is saying in the Brahma Samhita that Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship that supreme primeval Lord, the first person of the creation, from whom the whole creation has emanated. That is Lord Govind, from whom even Mahavishnu emanates, from whom even Lord Brahma emanates. So that person I am worshipping. Why? Because he's such a great personality. Thousands and thousands of Lakshmis are worshipping him. Lakshmi Sahasra Shata Sambrama Sevya Manam Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So Krishna is self-sufficient. He doesn't need anything. But still, for our benefit, he accepts. Whatever we offer to him, he accepts. He accepted Sudama's insignificant offering of chipped rice. He accepted Shabri's, insignificant fruits. So Krishna doesn't look at what you are offering. He looks at whether you are offering him with love and devotion. If you are offering with love, he accepts it, and he makes our heart pure, and he calls us back home, back to Godhead. And once we go back home, back to Godhead, we transcend all the problems which we are facing here. We are working hard for a few million rupees. Some people are working hard for a few thousand rupees. So, but still they are not getting any happiness. Whatever they are getting is shramastasya shrama eva hi kevalam. whatever they are getting is labor itself. The fruits of those labor is labor itself. So therefore, we should offer food to Krishna. That is for our benefit. It's not for Krishna's benefit. It is for our benefit. So why? What is the particular thing which triggered today's topic? Because yesterday on Facebook, I came across uh, I came across a translation of this particular verse, which was erroneous. So I will just share that particular verse with you on the screen. Please hold on. So this is the verse which I came across. This is a wrong translation actually. Whatever you do, make it an offering to me. The food you eat, the sacrifices you make, the help you give, even your suffering. So this particular, even your suffering, this is a wrong translation. So on the internet, we find such wrong translations. It is very, common to find such wrong translations. So we should be very careful when we, read something, WhatsApp messages and on Facebook. So whatever you do, make it an offering to me. That is fine. The food you eat, the sacrifices you make, this is perfectly fine. The help you give, this even your suffering, that is wrong, because here Krishna says yat tapasyasi kaunteya. So you should offer your fruits of your austerities, not your suffering. So this I came across on the Facebook. So I lodged my objection, because this suffering word, you should not offer suffering to Krishna. That is very wrong. Because if you we are trying to establish a loving relationship with Krishna, and how can we offer sufferings? Suppose if I want to establish a relationship with you, and I love you, you love me as a friend, and so do you offer sufferings? No, you offer some good things. You don't offer sufferings. So we are trying to establish a good relationship with Krishna. So offering suffering is against the protocol. So that is a wrong thing to do. So I lodged my objection to this particular. So this is my objection. This translation is partially wrong. Krishna is never told to make an offering of our sufferings. We should offer good things to Krishna and not sufferings. Krishna has asked us to offer the results of our austerities. Austerities has been wrongly translated as sufferings. The meaning changes completely. Group admins are requested to please take notice of such wrong messages which are circulated in the name of Krishna. So the person who who had posted this message, he was prompt to reply back to me. So he said, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can you please explain what's good thing and bad thing? When Krishna himself says, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo, I am the source of everything. And what's the harm if I like to offer my suffering to Lord Krishna when I know he's the cause of all causes? However, I agree with you that austerities has been wrongly translated as suffering here. I am curious. Hope you will enlighten me with your blessings. Dandavad. So fine, he has accepted that he has made a wrong, he has translated it wrong. He has accepted that the word austerities has been wrongly translated as suffering. So people, therefore, people, they mislead people, mislead the common man by giving wrong translations of the Bhagavad Gita, and therefore, religion, this religious realm, we have to be very careful in this particular spiritual field that we don't read wrong translations, because that way our spiritual life gets doomed. So we should be very careful from whom we are hearing, what messages we are reading, and we should read the Bhagavad Gita ourselves so that if there is any mistake, we can find it out. So therefore, we stress that you read Prabhupada's books. because Prabhupada is coming in, bona fide parampara disciplic succession, and he's a bona fide acharya coming from proper sampradaya and giving you the most perfect teachings without any adulteration, without any cheating, and without any wrong messages. Whatever Krishna wanted to convey, that only Prabhupada is conveying. So we should always read Prabhupada's books. So that way it will not get misled by wrong messages. So now he has made some very what you call concocted mental speculation that everything is coming from Krishna. So sufferings are also coming from Krishna. And that is what his total concoction is, which is absolutely wrong. Sufferings do not come from Krishna. Sufferings are the result of our past karma. Like we have done something wrong, so we will have to suffer those bad karma, those bad deeds. Suppose I slap someone, the other person will slap me immediately back. So that is a reaction of my karma, right? So similarly, whatever we are suffering, it is due to our past karmas. We may sometimes say that I have not done anything bad, but our memory is limited to this particular birth. What about our previous births? We don't remember what our previous births are. So we have done something wrong in our past births, our past lives, and as a result of which we are suffering now. So that suffering is not due to Krishna, as he has wrongly pointed out. That suffering is due to our own bad deeds. The example which can be given is that a judge, he hands out death penalty to a person who has committed murder. So the criminal may say that the judge is giving him punishment, but actually judge is not giving him any suffering or any punishment. It is because of his own karma. He has committed murder, so he has invited that punishment. He has invited that particular suffering. So we cannot blame the judge. So similarly, we cannot blame the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We cannot blame Krishna that he has given me suffering. He is the source of all suffering. So what's the harm if I like to offer my suffering? That's what this person is saying. What's the harm if I like to offer my suffering to Lord Krishna when I know he's the cause of all causes? So this is a wrong, argument. So this is what I replied to him. Nitesh Mishra Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Yes, Krishna is the source of everything. He is the source of all waste material also. So what is the harm in eating stool? So what is the harm in offering animals to Krishna? After all, animals are also emanating from Krishna. So this kind of reasoning which we have resorted to is not proper and not in accordance with the scriptures. We cannot concoct things. We are trying to establish our lost relationship with Krishna. This lost relationship can be established by exchange of love. If we want to establish a relationship with a big man, we should give him good things. So similarly, we should offer good things to Krishna and not burden him with our sufferings. So this we have already discussed. So since we have to establish the particular we are already related with Krishna. It is not that we have to establish. We are already related with Krishna, but we have forgotten our relationship. Like a person who has rebelled, a son. He's a son of a big shot billionaire, trillionaire, and he's a big tycoon. His father is a big tycoon, but he has rebelled and he has left home, and now he is suffering. So the father's relationship is already there. Now if he goes back and re-establishes his relationship with his father, who is a trillionaire, he is a big tycoon. If he establishes his relationship with his father, then it is just a matter of seconds. All his sufferings will vanish. So similarly, we are already parts and parcels of Krishna. That is what Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita, that you are my part and parcel. Mamai vansho jiva loka jiva bhuta sanatana. So we re-establish that relationship. So this re-establishment of relationship can be with by love. And as far as the sufferings are concerned, a pure devotee does not pray to Krishna that to mitigate my suffering. That is not the way a pure devotee behaves. This is how ordinarily, the common man, karmis, materialistic people, they go to the temples to pray to Krishna that you mitigate my sufferings, you remove my sufferings. So that is not how a devotee thinks. So that's the difference between an ordinary worker, ordinary common man, and a devotee. So in my next slide I have said, in fact, the pure devotees embrace sufferings as mercy of Krishna. So this is a very good verse from the Bhagavatam. Taten kampan su samikshamanu bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam vidvat vapurbhir vidadhan namaste jive tayo mukti padesa dayabha. So this is how the devotees, that is their sentiment of the devotees, that whatever sufferings I am at the moment experiencing, that is all your mercy. He accepts that as Krishna's mercy, as Krishna's prasad, that these mercies, I was supposed to suffer a lot more. My past karmas are very bad and I had to suffer a lot more. But it is your mercy that you have minimized my suffering. My hand was supposed to get cut. My karmas are so bad that the result of my karma is that my entire hand had to be amputated strictly according to the rules. But because you are merciful, you have simply given me a small scratch in my, a small fracture. So you are so merciful. So this is the way a pure devotee thinks. So therefore, I told him that we should in fact give the results of our good deeds. Sufferings are the results of our bad karma, and therefore suffering should not be offered to Krishna. If I offer you my sufferings, how will you feel? Now it's very practical. Suppose if I offer you my sufferings, you will not feel good, right? So will Krishna feel good? I offer him my suffering. I say, I love you, Krishna. You take me back home, back to Godhead. And on the one hand, I'm saying that, oh Krishna, I love you. You call me back to my back to your abode and engage me as your servant. On one hand, I'm saying this, and on the other hand, I'm saying take these sufferings as a gift from me. So does it look good? No, it doesn't look good. So giving sufferings, offering sufferings to Krishna is not a good idea. So similarly, if you want to please Krishna, we should offer nice things to Krishna. Another point is that whatever we give to Krishna, he multiplies it manifold and gives it back to us. Therefore, if one offers money to Krishna, Krishna multiplies it manifold and gives it back to the person who offered it. Similarly, if we offer sufferings to Krishna, he will multiply it manifold and give it back to us. So do you want to increase your sufferings? So this is a question I asked him. This was this incident happened yesterday. So he's yet to reply. So ultimately, the thing is that we should be careful. We should read what's given in the Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, we just get misled. And if we don't know what's written in the Bhagavad Gita, then such sort of unscrupulous messages, they mislead us. So we should offer to Krishna everything, whatever we have got. That is called Sarvasvatma Nivedanam. That is how Bali Maharaj, he gave everything. So we should, that is the ultimate message of Bhagavad Gita. So here Krishna is saying Yat Karoshi Yadashnasi in the 9th chapter. And in the last verse of Krishna, in the last verse of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying the same thing. That Sarv Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. That you surrender yourself unto me. Then I will take care of you. Don't worry. So this should be the aim of our life. That we should give everything to Krishna, whatever we eat. We should offer it to Krishna. And we should surrender ourselves to Krishna. So this should be the aim of human life. If you understand this last verse, so I request every one of you to read this last verse, 18th chapter, verse number 66, Sarv Dharman Parityajya, to give up all religions and just surrender unto me. Then I will take care of you. I will take care of all your past sinful activities. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo. Papebhyo means all our pap, all our sinful activities. I will eradicate them. Ma sucha, don't worry. So once Krishna is giving us this promise, we only need to surrender. And this offering of food is a part of that surrender. So this is my request. So from today onwards, we should start offering Krishna whatever we eat. And we should always chant the holy names also every day. So this is part of process of surrender. So this way Krishna becomes pleased. And if Krishna becomes pleased, our human life becomes successful and we become completely joyful. So thank you for joining us. Hare Krishna.